Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Elliott Confidential Podcast. My name is Aiden. How about you introduce yourself, Dad?
It's me, your father.
Yes, it is.
This is Christopher Elliott, and we're also joined by Aaron Elliott, he's flat on his back. He's waving at us.
He's a little bit sick.
I don't think he's going to be joining us
No,
today.
he's not going to be joining us.
He's quite sick.
Yeah, he doesn't have his phone on or anything. He's not going to be joining us at all.
I thought since we're in South Africa, we could start with the house band in Longo. You know, we'll just play a little house band music from Longo. They were a pretty good house band. They did a little jazz, a little South African music.
Yeah. I asked him about his saxophone. He said it was just a random Chinese saxophone that he got.
Oh,
he's been doing saxophone since he was like 19, he said. But you know what? I think that kind of just proves that it's really all about skill, not about the type of instrument you have. Because it was a Chinese saxophone, but this guy with all of his experience was able to make it sound so incredible.
I think Southern Africa is single-handedly keeping David Sanborn in business. There's so much smooth jazz that they play everywhere. But these guys were not smooth jazz. They were more like South African jazz fusion,
yes.
Lots of marimba, which is not even from South Africa, but they like marimba here.
And it goes surprisingly well with saxophone and, other aspects of smooth jazz.
Okay, so what's wrong with Aaron?
Aaron accidentally ate a little aubergine, as they call it here, a little eggplant, and his stomach rejected it. And ever since then, he's just been projectile vomiting everywhere.
Yeah, that's pretty bad, yeah.
Yeah.
Poor Aaron.
Oh,
all right,
Aaron.
He'll join us next week.
Yeah, maybe.
So it's just you and me now.
Just you and me.
But he's waving, signaling that he is alive. Hey, so this was an incredibly busy week. I do want to, before I get started on all the things that happened to us, I wanted to talk about some of the reader mail that we got. We got some very positive feedback on our first completely unstructured podcast.
Reader mail?
Reader mail.
People are actually listening to us?
People are actually listening to us.
Oh, my goodness.
I know.
I feel so special.
We got Tim, who said that I should be identifying the people in the podcast more, which this week is easy because it's just you and me. It's just Aiden and Chris.
Yes.
So, and I think
sometimes people call me Themistocles, but
people know what your voice sounds like, and they know what my voice sounds like.
Yeah.
So that's easy.
Everyone knows my voice. Beater.
And then we got some other very positive feedback, from readers, just that they enjoyed hearing us talking about where we've been, and I thank you for that because we enjoy talking about what we've done as well, and hopefully, you'll hear something that you think is interesting, and then maybe you'll come out here to South Africa and you'll do it.
Yeah. And hopefully it comes from my mouth because I'm special. I'm such a special little boy.
Yeah. Okay. Well, you want to go through what we did because this has really been a very eventful week.
Can we go up a little bit?
We should start with, I guess we'll start with what happened to us today at the art gallery. We went to the Noval Foundation, which is a new art gallery. It opened in 2018. A lot of African art, and I would say very accessible African art too.
Very accessible. Accessible. I mispronounced accessible. Very accessible.
And accessible in the sense that you don't need to have a curator or an MFA standing next to you to decode what it means. It's pretty obvious what it means.
Which is nice. It used to be a break from art would be something that's very complex that you need to decode, but now a break from art is something that you don't need to decode because, honestly, nowadays, most art exhibits are very, very, modern. They don't make much sense. It's not like something you would see in reality. It's a painting, very impressionistic. So,
yeah.
And here, there's still a lot of impressionist stuff, but it's just, you know what it is.
But it is summer here, and so you don't want to spend all day in an art museum. We also spent yesterday with a woman named Lizanne Gomez, who is the owner of Jeep Tours Cape Town. And
One of the owners.
Yeah, and she took us around to some of the more scenic spots. I think that for me, the most scenic spot was, what was that mountain called? I forget.
Table Mountain?
No, it wasn't Table Mountain. It was that peak where it was a really small toll road that goes over the mountain.
Chapman's Peak.
Aaron, lives. Aaron says Chapman's Peak. He's looking
Peak.
it up. He's not dead yet. But we got a view from below when we were out on the boat with a guy named Justin Blake. He's a marine biologist. And he works over at the Mount Nelson Hotel. And they offer these exclusive tours. Okay, so we did a lot. We went and saw a seal colony. We saw a shipwreck. and then we saw the highlight, which was...
I would say the highlight was how rough the waters were. They said it was calm. I mean, they were jostling me around. Afterwards, my back still hurts from that. It's been like 3 days.
Okay, it was not calm, but the highlight for me was seeing that whale.
Yeah, what was the whale called? They called a walla walla there.
A walla walla.
Oh, walla walla. No, I think that's dolphins. A what?
Oh, rooters?
Rooters whale.
Rooters. Aaron is interjecting, but we have no audio of him. He's like, Aaron has been the sick boy for most of South Africa. He's been flat on his back for, I wouldn't say half the time, but you've been sick a lot, Aaron.
I'm just a wee bit sick.
Yeah. Poor Aaron. I actually liked the tour that Justin did. He's a lot like the art that we were doing, very accessible. You know, he didn't talk down to you or anything like that. He just talked about all of the things that are going on out there in the Atlantic, and it is a pretty crazy place. By the way, Aiden, did you see My Octopus Teacher on Netflix?
What is My Octopus Teacher?
Okay, I'll take that as a no. But that was actually shot in the kelp forests.
That is a weird name
outside.
For a show. That's a very weird name for a show.
Yeah, it is. It actually, the guy doing it is a little bit strange, too.
Sounds like something Japanese.
Yes, well, in Japan...
They love octopuses in Japan.
I was going to say, in Japan, My Octopus Teacher would be like a...
My Octopus Teacher! Oh my God! You know what? I bet if you search that's going to be that's going to come up before the Netflix documentary.
I would like to open a sushi restaurant called My Octopus Teacher.
My Octopus Teacher.
You could give
lessons
on how to make sushi.
Yeah, you sell sushi and Arrow manga DVDs.
Yeah, tasty. The other thing that we did was that tour. Well, we were talking about the tour at the beginning. It's called Ubizu Events and Tours with two guys, Mike and Sabu. I'm not. Probably there's a Osa name.
There's a lot of Osa names around there.
He has an Osa name that is unpronounceable.
Yeah, at our hotel, the front desk manager, his name was Kumbulani. I'll always remember that because he kept wanting us to call him Kumbulani. He's like, "Can you remember?" And I'm like, "I don't know. Kumbulani. Maybe next time." And then he did like 5 times all we did. We were only there for 3 days. Literally twice a day he would come to us. It's like,
"What is my name?
What is my name?
What is my name?
Kombucha. No, wrong again. Kumbulani.
Yeah, nice people. But what I was surprised by, we went to an area that's called Langa, and you know, the first thing that you think when you go to a place like this is that you're going to get killed. But then, you know, you start to talk to people and you walk around and you realize that they're not going to kill you. It's actually a really cool, authentic experience. And as long as you know what you're doing and you're with the right people, you're not going to die.
Yes, you're not going to die. And if you do die, you can go to the witch doctor there.
They do have a witch doctor.
They do.
Very small office.
Very, very small office. He used to be like closer to downtown, and then they just paid him like a ridiculous amount of money to leave. They're like, "Oh, bugger off. Well, we need to build a mall here. Here's 10 billion rand."
Yeah, but
something like that.
That's right.
And now he's in like a little closet, but he's rich.
It's tiny.
Because I remember I asked him, he's like, "So, I mean, they must have paid you a lot in order to move to a place this small." And he's like, "Oh, yeah.
Money.
Yeah. Yeah, I got plenty of money." He has kids too. I mean, so
everyone was so nice to us.
Good for the next generation.
And they were just really glad that people took the time to get out of town and to, you know, understand the townships and the history of the townships and the art and culture and the food. The food was pretty good too.
Which food are?
Well, we're talking about the restaurant that we had lunch at. Oh, they had a lot of really good...
We were just talking about the townships, Dad.
Yeah, in the townships, yeah.
Oh, in the townships?
They had like one of the top-rated restaurants right there with a nice view.
You're right. In the townships, they had... You're right. In the townships, they had incredible food. The first thing that they showed us... I've said incredible a lot. I'm gonna switch
that's incredible.
Yeah, that's amazing.
That's really incredible.
I'll say amazing now on.
Okay, that's amazing.
But yeah, they had some amazing food. Like, they have their own version of a donut. And it was so moist and spongy on the inside, and it paired very well with a very refreshing ginger beer at the end of it. Like, you would just scarf that thing down and then wash it down with a ginger beer. Very refreshing. And then afterwards, we had like a full proper meal. They made it vegan for us. was made by their grandmother who's been cooking for a long time, and eventually they got like international recognition for how good the food was. And I can honestly tell you, the food was very good. So yeah, in general, the food scene in the townships are incredible.
I thought that they did a really
amazing.
nice
Sorry,
job. Yes,
amazing,
amazing, just good.
Amazing.
And then we also stayed at the Latitude, which was probably one of the biggest hotel rooms, if not one of the best. And in fact, it was such a big hotel room that they're actually closing that part of the.
Yeah, they're making
it's the
it part
entire
of the
ninth
cafe.
floor. Anyway, I'll let you explain.
They're making that part of the cafe. So we were literally the last people who were going to stay there.
I think we were like the last people.
Yeah,
you get to the ninth floor and they say, "Oh, your room is over here," and it's literally one half of the entire building is
half the floor,
the room.
Yeah,
and it was beautiful. It had a great view, but it was also.
You're going a little bit on and on.
Say.
Come on, man. Let me get to my description.
Okay.
Well, this was I would say the number one biggest room that we've ever had. The second one was in Alabama.
Alabama had a
on the coast 4 or 5 years ago. They just gave us a ridiculously huge room because, of course, I think it was like off season, so like no one was renting it out. So we got it for like a solid half a week. And I was honestly, I was just showing that room off to everyone on social media. And once we were in this room, which was slightly bigger, obviously I'm going to do the same thing.
I think that the room we were in was not as big as the one we were in Alabama.
No, it was.
But it was. No, I think Alabama was a little bit bigger. But
really?
This one had the view, though. It had
a better
view of the Atlantic and then of the whole area, Bantry Bay.
Mm-hmm.
And it was also right in the middle of a great part of town where you had restaurants, you had grocery stores, and you had a place you can do laundry.
Yeah. Actually, when we came into Cape Town, one of the first places that we went to in town was V&A. And that's on the opposite, kind of like the opposite side of town. And actually, the walk here, the area here is so safe that you can walk from here to V&A without having to run into any, unpleasant personalities.
Okay, that's a nice way of putting it.
But,
we're here is not here. We are actually on the other side. We're in on a hotel called Nova Constantia right now.
Mm-hmm.
And it is a boutique hotel in the middle of wine country. So the other side of Table Mountain is kind of wine country. Not kinda, it is wine country.
It is wine country.
And it really reminds me of California. You've got these mountains, and then you've got vineyards growing on the mountains.
For me, it's not California, it's Portugal. It's literally exactly like Portugal. Even the roads here. The roads changed when we went over here. Now they're a lot thinner, and all of the restaurants and grocery stores are smaller. It's like everything just became like Portugal. Seriously, it's almost exactly like Portugal here when it comes to the nature, when it comes to the infrastructure. It just all looks very Portuguese.
Yeah, I mean, it reminds me of a little bit of Portugal too, but minus the really good bread. You can't find good bread like in Portugal.
Yeah, sadly.
And I think the people are different too. You have
very different
dynamic than you do in Portugal.
Mm-hmm. But you want to know the reason why it looks so much like Portugal is because we are exactly on the opposite side of the equator. And as you know, under the equator, you get very similar weather, similar climate year round than on the other side. So right now, if you flip the equator, right now we are right where Portugal is.
Except that it's not. It's in Portugal. It's just becoming spring now. I mean, it's like late winter, and here it's late summer.
Yeah,
and really. Like, how in August you get the deep greens that are in the trees and everything just feels very heavy. That's what it's like right now here.
Yeah.
It's very late summery.
Yeah, but we were in Portugal at this time, or I guess last year. So we know what that looks like. And I think that's kind of why.
No, we've always been in Portugal in the winter.
No, we were there late spring. And right now, oh, damn, you're right.
Yeah. It doesn't matter.
Anyway, it does look very similar. And also, we're getting towards the middle of the year, and that's kind of where the top and bottom equators look
February.
the most similar.
It's still February.
I know.
It's still February.
I know, but you're getting there. Come on,
we're getting
let
slowly,
me make my point.
We're slowly getting there. Yeah. Pretty good week, though, all told.
Yeah.
I mean, we had a lot of adventures. No? Yeah?
Yeah.
Well.
Some adventures?
No, we did. I mean, we survived a lot of things that I thought, well, maybe this is not a good idea, but we did it, and I'm glad. I mean, the two things where I was going, I don't know if we should do this. One was the township tour, because
Yeah,
the
you know
townships
what?
have a reputation. And then the other one was going out on the water we were in a little lifeboat. It was like a dinghy, and there were waves.
On the township tours, there was like a little red flag there when they said, "Oh, we don't have a car."
We took a bus.
Yeah, we took a bus there. We took a Uber to go to one of the buses, and these are like the buses that everyone uses.
It's like a little van.
It's like a little van.
You go
and that's the reason why everyone uses it is because people kept stealing the tracks off the train.
They were stealing the wires that were used because it was an electric train, and then they were also building settlements directly on the tracks.
Yeah.
Which
and
is
also,
crazy.
I heard that a lot of people were just taking the metal tracks too.
Yeah.
And so, the fact that that's the reason why these buses existed, that was a little bit concerning. But it all ended well, and we took another Uber back as well. So they actually had no cars to get there. These guys they didn't drive you there. They would bring you there through the mode of transport that everyone goes there on, which is the bus.
Yeah. Before we sign off, I just wanted to say, I'm so glad that all of you guys have stuck with the podcast for a second episode, a completely unstructured podcast with almost no editing. I mean, I'm a couple of things we might edit out, but almost no editing. Some music that we're going to add. In fact, on our way out, I'm going to let's play a little more of that house band. I like that house band a lot.
Yeah, I think there's still more that we could have covered, but again, we can talk about that later. And also, I think that there needs to be more development in a few things that are going on right now that we can talk about later.
Well, next week's going to be really interesting because we get to decide whether we are leaving the country and going to Namibia, or if we're just going to stay here and hang out for a while and chill. Because I think we've been going for the last 4 months. We haven't stopped. And maybe we're getting a little bit tired. I think Aaron needs to take a break.
Yeah, I think we definitely need a month off. Just because, there's a whole thing where you build content and you develop content. And, when you build content, you're just taking pictures. This is like raw content. And then you need to filter that out and develop it into content that's consumable. And the way to do that is to give yourself some time.
I am so glad that you've decided to join us, Aiden and Christopher. And next week, maybe we'll have Aaron join us too, if he's still alive. He'll still be alive.
Hopefully.
And I'm glad that you spent some time with us. You've got a lot of other things that you could be doing, but you took a chance on episode 2 of this podcast, and we appreciate it.
Yes. Hopefully we'll be, maybe eventually be bigger than Joe Rogan.
All right. Let's do the house band now. All right. Okay.
Bye.
Goodbye.
See you.